All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's after 6:30. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is our second go-round for biannual meetings this year. Happy to be back after our last visit back in January. So I'll give you a rundown of the program. We'll go into like an overview, and then obviously, as you're not familiar with our process, we'll go over the program from the silver line. We'll answer questions through each section, the project overview, construction and whatnot. So without further ado, let me get into it. So this is our meeting agenda. We have our rules of engagement. Like I said, we'll go over the project overview. We have the Carrollton Depot information there. If you haven't had a chance to come and visit on the side, please do so. John Hopkins over here. Happy to give you information on the project. We're doing surveys for adaptive reuse of that. Get into that a little bit more. The Cottonville Regional Trail, which is part of the project. It's a separate project, but it's a benefit as well. Project milestones specific to the City of Carrollton and the Silver Line overall. We'll go over the operations, some fare restructuring information, and then how to stay informed and connected. So, rules of engagement. This is a public meeting, so we're going to open it up for questions, comments, and concerns. Like I said, after each section, we're all adults here, so I know we may have questions, we may have concerns. Everyone raise your hand, we'll bring you the microphone, you can ask your question out loud so everyone can hear it. If you have a question but you don't want to go public, we'll be happy to bring you a comment card and we can address that question at the end of the presentation. Doesn't matter what section it applies to, we just ask everyone to be respectful. I'm the Project Communications Manager. We have several members of our Silver Line team. Dee Leggett, our Executive Vice President and Chief Development Officer. Robert Sullivan is our community rep. He's your go-to person for anything non-Silver Line related. If you have questions about DART programs or anything going on DART related, you can reach out to Robert. We have the Silver Line project team. Matt Hensel oversees that. He is part of AWH, who's our design build contractor, and Nick Stebbin is here to give us the construction update. The number on the bottom is the construction hotline. Please feel free to reach out and contact that number if you see any issues. Something is out of place, not where it needs to be, you can reach out there. We'll get a response within 24 hours. If you want to compliment us on the work we're doing, we're happy to take those too as well. Before we get into the meat of it, we do have a Spanish interpreter if anyone needs translation. Okay, we'll move on then. And then I also want to recognize we have DART board member Doug Urbachuk is with us. And then DART CAC member Jim Abney is with us as well. So thank you both for being here. All right, so like I said, this is our second go-round of biannual meetings. Last week we were in Richardson, Carrollton, and Plano. This is the first of our 3 meetings this week. If there's something that you miss here, please welcome to join us tomorrow in Addison or invite your friends and neighbors. I know y'all are real close and sometimes we overlap with community members that come to both meetings or have questions regarding both. And then we can get into it. So, if you're not familiar with the project overall, the Silver Line is a 26-mile commuter rail alignment that serves 7 cities. Begins at the easternmost terminus at the Charlotte Road Station in Plano, comes all the way into Terminal B at DFW Airport. You'll see it traverses from Plano into Richardson, part of North Dallas, Addison, Carrollton, Coppell, Great Line, and we end at the airport. The project will have connections to the Green Line in downtown Carrollton, the Orange and Red Line in Richardson and Plano. That's existing light rail service that DART offers. And then in Fort Worth, you'll be able to connect to the Tex Rail and continue your path into Fort Worth with our friends at Trinity Metro. Additionally, one thing to note for downtown Carrollton is DCTA, the Transit Authority for Denton County, is looking at expanding A-train service, so there will be future connection from the Silver Line into Denton through DCTA. So some information about the Carrollton station. This station is basically below the aerial station that is currently in place that serves the Green Line service into downtown Dallas and up to Trinity Mills in Carrollton. Roughly, you have a 24-minute legway from the station to DFW Airport, and then 36 minutes to Shiloh Road, which is the end of the terminus. Like I said, covered transit connections, about 400 parking spaces, and if you look at the map, the little circle gives you about a mile radius. You can see there, we've kind of determined a mile gives you about a 20-minute walking point. So different aspects of places you can see parks, restaurants, shopping. So you can be able to view that and get information from each individual station. We have these online, so you can go to our website. Each station that is part of the Silver Line will have one of these, and the information is there to make it more accessible and provide connectivity. On the right, just some construction photos. You can see the progress that we're making. I'll save that for Nick to really get into the nitty-gritty, and I'm sure you'll have questions. As I mentioned before, we have the Cotton Belt Regional Trail. This is part of the North Central Texas Council of Governments mobility project. This is the overall map. The goal for COG is to eventually have a trail that runs all the way from Plano to Fort Worth. The section here basically, the section from Plano, if you go to about the dot and grapevine, covers the Silver Line portion. So the rest of it is a COG project. Phase 1 of the project is for the most part complete. We're still doing some walkthroughs and punch list items there. Phase 2 is set to begin first quarter of next year. There we go. So we're talking from here to roughly about here for the Silver Line section, and then this is the rest of the plan that COG has. If you want more information, you can definitely go to our website. All the trail information, since this is a COG project, you click there, it'll take you directly to the North Central Texas Council of Governments website, and you can get the latest and greatest information on that project. As I said, Phase 2 construction is set to begin first quarter of 25, and that will complete everything once we have revenue service operation, and that's the segment that connects from Plano roughly to Addison. The rest of it is part of Phase 3, and that will be moved forward once COG and the cities that have the trail function come to an agreement on funding. It will also have connections to existing trails. All right, so we mentioned the historic Carrollton Depot. We're underway with an adaptive reuse project. We budgeted $1.5 million for the effort, and we're looking to seek additional funds. Potential reuse options that have been discussed are retail, cafe, convenience store, a police substation, transit information center, and then a connection to bicycle trail uses, maybe like a bike rental, something like that. Again, we have more information off to the side. If you have specific questions, we'll address those at the end of the section, but I do recommend you step over and just have a few minutes to speak with John, and he can give you more information on the project itself. The Silver Line vehicles themselves, they are here, and they're underway with testing. The vehicles are state-of-the-art, low maintenance. They're not electric. These are actual trains, so very similar to Texrail in Fort Worth, or if you've taken the TRE from downtown Dallas to Fort Worth, just a newer, sleeker, quieter vehicle. They're diesel-powered, meet strict EPA standards, seating for over 230 passengers, got overhead storage, as you can see in the photo to the right, bike hooks. There's a large luggage compartment. If you've ever taken the Texrail, those trains have restrooms. These do not. And the area where the restroom is where the luggage compartment and the bicycle hooks are. One more thing in regards to safety and security, they are installed with CCTVs that will be on the trains and at the stations, so consistent monitoring by the RPD. As I mentioned before, the trains are here in town and we have begun testing. We started testing for the first round. Actually on Sunday was the first foray for the trains to actually go in segment C from the Shiloh Road station just past the UTD station, and we're going to be out there for the next few months. We're coming over here to this area here pretty soon, here at the the fall of this year, and we're looking to do segment A from DFW Airport all the way to Mill Trail, just go past that into North Dallas. Still finishing up some work there. One thing of note is that the quiet zones will not be in effect during testing periods. If you're not familiar, there are quiet zones throughout several segments of the corridor, and that basically means that the train won't sound its horn unless there's something on the track or near the track that impedes its progress. During testing, since we are testing timing of signals, arms, lights, track, connectivity to the platforms, I mean everything, you name it, we are sounding the train because we do have traffic, everything is live, and in the instance where we aren't able to monitor that, then we will have flaggers present. So like I said, the vehicle testing here in your area will begin in the fourth quarter of this year. We'll have simulated service from DFW Airport all the way just past Mill Trail in Dallas. Simulated service means that we're going to make stops at each of the stations, but since they are active construction sites, there's no passenger pickup or drop-off, and unfortunately, you can't park it out there and take video and photos of the trains, even though they look really cool. As I said, we're going to make stops at Mill Trail, Addison, Carrollton, Cypress Waters, and DFW Airport North. And again, we're doing several testing components to this. It's not just run the trains and then see how they work. There's several different factors that go into that. So it's a really complex process. That's why it takes time for us to spend a few months out there making sure everything works from the platforms, the track, the crossing signals, and the vehicles themselves. As I said before, if we need flaggers, they'll be present. So if you're out and about driving, we'll be having people wave you down, let you know when the trains are crossing, when they're coming, and when you can go. And again, there won't be any quiet zones in effect. We need to back up one more. The plan is to test through these sections with end-to-end testing, which means basically from DFW Airport to Shiloh by this time next summer. So, that wraps up this section for the overview of the project. The QR code there, if you want to scan that, is the survey I was talking about regarding the Carrollton Depot. So you can scan that. We'll leave this up while we take questions.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
What was the picture of the Silver Line and the Reunion Tower? You're not going anywhere near that, right?
Yeah, so good question. So we had to bring it, as I said, we've been testing. So we've been testing for a while, and what we had to do was bring the trains from their location over in Irving and bring them over. So initially, we had to bring them over to Plano, so we had to come that route, which is why the trains were parked there. We've been running on the TRE lines on Sundays only because there's no TRE service to get the vehicles some exercise, make sure we can check systems and whatnot before they get on their actual routes. So that's what the photo is. That's a one of a kind.
Yes, sir.
How is all this going to be paid for?
Hi, Dee Leggett, Executive Vice President. So the level of service, I think we probably have a slide that will cover this, will be ultimately up to our board of directors. But it is programs in our 20-year financial plan and the operations that we pay for through sales tax and any grant funding that we can receive.
I would like the grant funding is from the federal government, I presume, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, the federal government doesn't have any money. Okay. What? They're supposed to only coin money. Okay. But I really am concerned about, three major New York bond rating companies that downgraded the U.S. bonds because there's no end in sight of repayment. And Congresswoman Van Dyne, she's been a mayor, and Kay Granger's been a mayor, and there's been no interest in sinking funds set up for all of this debt that we're creating. In the same way with Lady Bernice Johnson, she's gone, but Desmond Crockett, brought $188 million worth of inflation back to her district. And, I think that we're going to start having to look at the users to pay for what getting?
Yes, and our operating budget is covered through a variety of revenue sources. Fares is one of those, and we do have a fares study underway that's looking at how much we should charge for the different levels of service that we operate. I think we've got brochures, but fares obviously do not cover a large portion of our operations. Our operations is primarily covered by the one-cent sales tax paid by our member cities. And then we have additional funding that could be supplemented by grants. Most of the federal funding, though, is tied to capital projects, plus opportunities for operating. But that's why we've got to look at a variety of revenue sources to sustain our operations.
Yes, sir.
Yes, understood. Understood.
I think this is a great project. We need to start paying for this.
Understood. Yes, we'll
Thank you,
meet
sir.
that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Quick question. No state funding?
Really gonna make me get on my soapbox.
No, the state of Texas does not provide any funding for transit in the metropolitan areas. It does support rural and small urbans.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. 1 second.
It's probably not known, but I've read recently that several cities want to pull out of DART. Is there positive news for that?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the cities or the votes that they have taken. But to clarify, the resolution passed by those cities was not to pull out of DART, but to look at some different funding streams for how they participate in DART. Currently, 1 cent of sales tax from the various cities is committed to DART. That was committed by the voters in 1983. So currently, based on current statute, the only way to change that would be some action by our board of directors. So we are operating as if we have a full penny. Now we're working through our FY25 budget process and trying to be sensitive to the concerns of our member cities, because we all recognize, and I think that the gentleman's talk about debt and challenges with funding, I think that's something that all governments face, and we've got to be prudent with our taxpayer dollars.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Generally, for the testing, is what time of day and what day of the week can we expect the testing to happen?
So the testing so far, we don't have a set schedule for this segment, but we're looking at 2 to 3 times a day, and it'll be during the day.
So after rush hour?
Yeah, we're gonna try to avoid that as much as possible, but sometimes we'll have to coordinate with light rail just to make sure the crossings operate as they should at the same time.
Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to clarify that. Though at some point, when we get to the June of 2025 date where we're running end to end, we are going to simulate a full day of revenue service. So that's after we've proven out all the systems are working, but we will at some point be running the full operations in test mode.
Will we get a notice of that date so we'll be ready for it?
Yes. Yes, there'll be several additional meetings between now and then.
Anything else, guys? All right, Nick.
All right, for the construction update, so recent project milestones within the city of Carrollton. So,
Is that better?
Recently, well, a couple months ago, we put the Josie Lane Bridge into service, opened it to freight rail traffic, the first half of it. New Mercer Yard's in place. DG Nova has moved from old downtown Carrollton to New Mercer Yard. The BNSF flyover bridge at Old Mercer Yard is over 80% complete, and the track is being placed underneath it. and we completed most of the major rail crossings in downtown Carrollton, ending Disney Drive. So the bottom photo is Josie Lane Bridge with DG node traveling over the top of it. The top right photo, also Josie Lane Bridge, and then the photo on the left here is some track work near Old Mercer Yard. Here's an aerial view. Here's an aerial view of New Mercer Yard. This is between Kelly and Marsh Lane, just south of the Maryville Golf Course. So as I mentioned, this is completely in service now. DG has moved completely out of downtown Carrollton and using this facility for maintenance. Here is Josie Lane Bridge. As mentioned, the right half of the bridge has been placed into service. DG is using this to get up and over Josie, so there's no longer any freight traffic through the Josie Lane intersection. We're currently working on the left half of the bridge, getting that wrapped up. We've got probably maybe 3 to 4 weeks before that bridge done. And then we've got some aesthetic truss work that's going to go on at the intersection of Josie. You can see at the intersection on the right-hand side. So we've got, those are the fins that will accept the depth of the truss. So that truss is being manufactured currently. It'll be delivered to the site in about a month and a half, and we'll look to start the erection of that. So here is an aerial view of downtown Carrollton. The bottom of the photo is the 2 new station platforms for the Dark Silver Line. Upper part of the photo is Bridge 20, BNSF flyover we call it. So BNSF in the future is going to travel under right here at the cross, and the Silver Line will go in between these 2 station platforms that have come over. Here's a ground view of downtown Carrollton Station, some of the platform work going on, along with the structural steel, column clad, and GFRC work that's done. Another view of the downtown Carrollton Station platforms northbound, southbound. On the right-hand side, as mentioned, this is where BNSF will come through once they're cut over. Here's College Avenue and Broadway Street. So we have another outage that we'll have on College Avenue to cut in the Silver Line once we move BNSF over to their new line. So BNSF will, as I mentioned, will come right through here, and then Silver Line will come through here once this track is moved. This is Hutton Bridge 17. Freight has been moved over onto phase 1 of this bridge. So they are, this is Fort Worth Western. They're operating now on the first half of this bridge, and we're constructing the second half currently. And then also in this photo is the Biannual spur coming across. We're actually going to start construction on Beltline for Biannual spur next week on Monday. So there'll be closures on Beltline, eastbound and westbound, for about a month as we're working our way across reconstructing this spur. Here's Luna Drive crossing. All lanes are currently fully open. We'll have some additional work in the future with some turn lanes and modifications to some of the turning bays. We're still in the design process on that, but for the time being, all lanes are fully open. And then here's some general construction photos on the left-hand side. This is a US 75 bridge and bridge over US 75 rail installation. Upper photo is concrete replacement for part of the station parking lot of UT Dallas and Rutherford Avenue. And then the bottom 2 photos are also of the US 75 bridge. So in progress project milestones as of the end of June that Mario mentioned. So there's 8 Silver Line vehicles testing on TRE. They've moved 2 of the trains over to the east side of the project as of a couple of weeks ago. Downtown Carrollton stations 50% complete. Absent stations 90% complete. 38 49 rail crossings are over 70% complete or completed. 26 of 34 guideway bridges are over 80% completed. 6 to 7 pedestrian bridges are over 80% complete or completed. 34 of 61 noise support betterment walls are over 80% installed. and then 10 of the 16 that are located in or near Carrollton are complete or awaiting approval. And today we've installed 143,700 linear foot of new track on the project. So that's the construction update.
Questions? We go back here. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jim Ebony here. How much longer will Denton Drive be closed?
Not much longer. We had an issue with the water line that we're trying to get through. Once that issue is resolved, we'll get it open. So hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll get it fully open.
Yes, sir.
Hard to schedule a meeting on not much longer than 2 to 3 weeks. What date will the Den Drive of northbound and southbound be open?
Let me get with my team and we can give a firm date.
Certainly appreciate that. This is a public meeting about a $2 billion taxpayer-funded project. And this is a big concern to the residents in this area. It would be appreciated if you come to these meetings with answers prepared with actual dates. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Some of the crossings, particularly around the downtown Carrollton, are pretty close to the stop. So, when the train's slowing down for the stop and you have crossing signals on both sides, is that something that's going to be kind of addressed in testing of how long the signals are going to be down, if the train's going to be stopped, or if you can speak to that? Thank you.
Are you talking specifically here, downtown Carrollton, Denton Drive, College Street area?
Yeah, Denton Drive and Broadway.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't have the exact answer for that in terms of how long the gates are going to be down while the people are boarding that area.
Well, we've done an extensive look at the signal timing and how that's going to work. And the big concern, and one that's been expressed by the city of Carrollton as well as Plano, has been the trains coming into the station and stopping and creating an issue with the gate with extensive downtime. And we've worked that through so that the longest that a gate will be down, I think, is 65 seconds, and that's in one direction on the Broadway. But most of them are less than a minute that they'll be down. There are pedestrian gates at each of the crossings, and all the crossings are trail crossings. So the downtown Carrollton are going to have gates for vehicles as well as for pedestrians. So it's not just a standard railroad crossing. There's a lot of other safety built in there, as well as additional fencing. But like I said, the longest one we saw is about 55 seconds or 65 seconds in one direction. I think it's on Broadway. The others are a minute or less.
Is that your question?
Thank you.
Okay. Sure. You good? Any other questions on yes? Anything else?
Okay, so as Dee mentioned regarding the operating plan, this is preliminary and this is dependent on board approval, but we are looking at 55 to 60 trips with 60 trains running from roughly 5 a.m. to midnight. Trains every 30 minutes during peak weekday service. Peak time, we're looking at roughly 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the mornings, it's a rush hour, and then 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Afternoon rush hour. Those are, you're looking at, again, trains every 30 minutes. All other times would be trains every 60 minutes during the weekday. Weekend, we're still working on that schedule. We anticipate higher numbers. We're just going to meet today, and our ridership has trended to skew higher on the weekends since the pandemic. So we're still studying that to see what the weekend schedule will look like. But the good news is that we do have the ability to adjust our train schedule for special event service. So if you've ever taken the light rail down to Dallas for a Mavericks or Stars game or a concert, there's typically a train waiting for you immediately after the event for up to 10 minutes. We'll be able to operate the same way. Hearing sometime in the first quarter of here to, and obviously well before that, we'll be communicating and sending out different messages to make sure you're informed of when that meeting is and how you can communicate with them. The civil line maintenance facility, it's located in the city of Plano. It's basically where the trains will live and be housed. This is property that we have already acquired in Plano. On the DART right-of-way, we'll construct some bays where the vehicles will be washed, maintained, stored, and fueled. There'll be in-ground fuel storage there, and this is really beneficial because it keeps us from having to do turns, so it can speed up service once we're in operation. DART is in the midst of a fair restructuring process right now, so we're going out and about and going through all the different communities and gathering input, feedback from the proposed fair restructure from community residents. The public hearing for that will be Tuesday, August 27th at DART headquarters. Again, very much like I described the silver line process, we invite you to come out and provide your input to the board as they make a decision on how to move forward with fair restructure. We've had several people ask about construction updates and how to stay informed. One of the best things you can do is reach out to us and have us come out and do a presentation like this. We're happy to do it at schools, daycares, HOAs, community groups, chambers, you name it. We love talking about the Silver Line Project, DART overall, and the value that we bring to the community, and all the different options that you have at your disposal for mobility in the area. And you can reach out to us directly at silverline.org. So reach out, we're happy to come out and talk about the project. In regards to the construction updates, anything going on, I invite you to, again, like I said, visit our website. Once you visit our website at dart.org/silverline, you can sign up for text or email alerts specific to Silverline, light rail, bus, you name it, pretty much any service that DART has, you'll provide that, and you'll get emails or text messages to your phone regarding meetings, major closures, construction updates, project updates, you name it, in regards to service as well for light rail or bus. You can also attend regular meetings like this one. And as I mentioned before, the DART hotline is for construction updates. So if there's something going on that you have a question about or something that doesn't look right, you can reach out to that 972 number, and you'll typically get a response within 24 hours. Once we get closer to revenue service operation, we'll have a different number that you'll be able to reach out to answer specific Silver Line questions. And if there's anything that you need that's not Silver Line related, then again, Robert is here. Oh, there he is. He's snuck over there. He can answer any DART questions related to Carrollton specifically that you may have. All right, any questions regarding operations or communication?
Yes, sir. Jim Amity again. What's the latest update of revenue service day?
Yeah, I mean, our targeted message is still late 2025, early 26. We have made a lot of advancements on this project, as Nick has shown you and as Mario talked about the testing. We've also worked through a lot of regulatory hurdles that might have pushed us into 2026. We're optimistic that we're going to finish on the early end of that, but we want to keep testing a little bit more and prove up that our system works before we can get a firm date. So please stay tuned.
Yes, sir.
Hi, this is Pascal again. I'm a little concerned about, let's say that I want to go to Grapevine for the weekend, and I'm a little concerned about the experience of taking Silver Line and making sure that the Trinity Metro's text rail lines up with the schedule, and transferring at Dave W. North, which really doesn't have a lot going for it in terms of anything around there. So has DART been working with its partners at Trinity Metro and possibly Dave W. Airport to make that experience a little bit better?
Yes, once we work through the service planning scenarios that Mario outlined, we will sit down with our Trinity Metro partners and talk about what our service looks like and what their service looks like, and to make sure that we're optimizing those meets. We both operate on the same level of headways. They're 30 minutes, we're 30 minutes. So we will I try to optimize the meets both at DFW North and then manage our interface at Terminal B. And then we are also working through a visual experience redesign with our service planning team, which means we're going to be focused on helping people navigate our system. So how do you get off a plane from DFW and figure out how to get to either the orange line or the silver line? And the same will be true at those platforms like DFW North, where we share with a partner agency. How do we make sure we've got the right wayfinding signage, the right schedule information that maximizes the meets between the two services?
More questions?
I will say in that regard too, we are very receptive to the community concerns. One example, we met with Richardson earlier this year, and they expressed concern about, okay, well, how are we going to be connecting to the Silver Line via bus so we're not constantly having to wait? And one of the things that our service planning did was they looked into the ridership and adjusted the routes, took away one that wasn't as popular, added a new one, and to date, since that new route launched, which will be operational and get to the Silver Line station, we're averaging over 220 riders. So again, it's, like Dee said, getting into service, hearing the concerns, and seeing how we can meet those.
Any other questions? The staff will be here at the conclusion of the meeting, so we can answer any questions afterwards as well.
Excellent. Well, if we have no other questions, we want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.